Hello, my name is Fraser Simons. This is my channel, Springboard Thought. Today I'm going to do a Booker 22 long-listed review, Graeme Macrae Burnet's case study. So this is a book for people who are really into intertextuality, into meta concepts, some maybe postmodernism techniques. If you're really into that stuff, this might be like catnip for you. Macrae has conjured up a author who may or may not be like him. I haven't done any research into him, so who knows if this is the case, but at the beginning of the book, an author who has written and published this book ostensibly, but is not Burnet, receives a manuscript about a woman who goes to see a psychiatrist who is sort of shrouded in mystery, is non-traditionalist, shirks normal guidelines of psychiatry, and indeed isn't even like a psychiatrist himself, but patients continue to go see him for some reason. Her sister went to see him shortly thereafter, took her own life by jumping off of a bridge. In order to see this man, she decides to invent an alternate persona named Rebecca, who is unlike her own self. She's very like diminutive, very like essentially the polar opposite of her sister. And she invents a persona that is kind of like the sister. She's very like highbrow. She uses a lot more complex diction, a different accent, is very confident, kind of like more sexual. Again, the opposite of what she is like. And this is to put off the scent, I guess, from the psychiatrist, because presumably her sister would have talked about her at the psychiatrist and she doesn't want to be recognized. She wants to unmask him or see whatever he did to the sister that made her like this, if he even did. She just wants to know. It's a mystery. And we have that storyline playing out, but it also alternates between this and who this fictitious author at the very beginning that compiled this bind-up, supposedly, has written a biography of the psychiatrist as well. So you figure out where he came from, his roots, why he's like that, why he's rooted in sort of hedonism. It establishes themes around traditionalism versus progressive notions. Very political book in some ways, as well as like the polar opposites of psychiatric care and how it was evolving at the time, or even devolving, how he got into studying this when he wasn't even, we know he's not a psychiatrist, right? But he is formally educated, and so it's just his life interspersed as well. And then it is bookended with the ending of the story of the author at the very start. So it's very playful, it's very engaging. The styles are quite different and convincing, I think. I had no idea what to expect. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book, especially the ending. And yeah, it was completely engrossing to me, especially as the persona of the woman who is going to the psychiatrist sort of starts to become more predominant and fleshed out, I guess you could say. Her voice becomes utterly mesmeric and captivating, which is really great in conjunction with the themes. It might also be somewhat of a stalking horse story in terms of the psychiatrist. I'm not sure if it alludes to some historical figure or not. There is a real historical figure in it who's a psychiatrist who parallels him, but they seem to be diametrically opposed in how they treat patients. So I'm not too sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if this figure is real in some ways. There are lots of references to movies and books, some of which are real, some of which are not. So it's a very like Borges-esque book in some ways. You don't know what's real, what's not, what to believe, and things just spiral out from there. It's maybe like a literary thriller, but don't expect the pacing of something like that, of course. So hopefully this has adjusted your expectations of the book and told you if you are even interested in it and want to pick it up or not. I believe this comes out in November-ish for the US. I ordered my copy off Book Depository quite a while ago, hoping that it would be longlisted, and it was. It's definitely a highlight of the year. I'm not sure if it would make my top 10. I would have to think about it, but yeah, I thought it was utterly fantastic, and I can totally see why it is on the long list. It seems inventive, innovative. If you're worried about it going into mental health territory and maybe not handling it with the kind of care that you would expect, I can't say more than it elides that completely in some ways. And so you'll just have to trust me and pick it up, basically. But that was one of my worries about the book. Something like The Silent Patient, where it treats mental health as a cinematic Hollywood treat rather than the respect that it deserves. This manages to toe the line very well, I think, and by the end, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you are worried about that aspect. It seems much more concerned with interrogating themes, notions embedded in our culture, especially at the time. This is London 1965, if I didn't mention. And so it is also sort of like a period piece, which is a lot of fun for me because I had no idea about the setting. So I think that's all I'll say about it. Absolutely love it, absolutely recommend it, and hopefully you know if it's for you by now with what I've said. I will see you next video for another book or review or a recent reads or whatever you want to hop on and watch from me. Bye.